Michael Styba? Just kidding. Moose is not here today. I am with Michael on the mic, and we are here today to talk about our top 15 players. Each of us have ranked our top 15 players. It's really our preseason rankings, even though we're 2.5 weeks into the season.
Yep.
So there's probably some shuffling already in our rankings, but that's what we're here to do today is talk about that.
Yep. Today's episode, you've heard us tease. Wow. It's exposing my feet. I am wearing flip-flops inside my house. We can cut that maybe. Today's episode is brought to you by caffeine-free Diet Dr. Pepper.
I thought it was a beer the whole time.
Yep. Just cracked open a cold one to enjoy this Thursday night. But yeah, we do not really have a name for this special, branch off, reoccurring pod yet. But we are brought to you by the Rookery Podcast channel, and excited to get talking on NBA today. So
yeah, it's been a long time coming. Miles has been letting us know that.
Yep, we've been being pestered in the group message about why haven't we gotten out this episode, and I think it's really because we really want to get on the same level as our listeners. You hear a lot about the NBA season not mattering for the first 2, 3, 4 months, really until Christmas. Can it compete with NFL? In my eyes, yes, but also experientially, I have not been a great fan these past couple weeks. I've missed a lot of games. We've been in, some weddings and stuff recently.
Yeah. We'll be gone this weekend.
Shout out Sparks, one of our buddies getting married to Molly.
Another buddy
as well. That's enough of a life update. I could ramble all day. So yeah, excited to break down our players here. Bear with us, listeners. I think we're still finding our voice. But yeah, we're gonna break this down. I put mine together with maybe not a ton of thought. So some of this defending might be really going on the offensive against myself. And hey, why did I put this player here? Regardless, we want to talk about, in general, top 15 players. We might talk about 20 players. The point is, we're talking about some of the league's best players today. So
yeah, and Mike also came up with his preseason rankings after the season had started. So
yes, it is.
there could be some biases there, maybe. But what do you think? Start from the back, or do some honorable mentions, maybe?
Yeah, maybe some honorable mentions that didn't make the list.
Yeah.
You want to go first?
Yeah, I've
got one glaring one that really hurt to leave off.
Okay.
Are you thinking Zion?
No, I was going to go a different direction, and it was not from the preseason, just based off of what I've seen. But
okay,
hit Zion for us.
I'm thinking Zion. I feel like through his early years, everyone would say this is a guy, kind of like Chris Collinsworth, but this is a guy that, when healthy, would not go past number 10 if you're drafting players in the league. But the league has seen more young stars added to the fold, and Zion may be flattening, maybe just because the Pels are weaker or still figuring out what their rotation is. I don't know. Maybe in a couple months, Zion is an all-star again, and in the MVP discussion, I think we could all see that. But
yeah,
he didn't make my list.
I actually heard some stats on his field goal percent. It just zoomed in on you. Oh man. I just heard some stats on his field goal percentage and how it's dropped, like, I think, so from 2 years ago, 2022, then 2023, and this year being 2024, each year it's dropped like 15%, or not 15%, 5% each year is field goal percentage. Yeah, so it's just interesting because his bread and butter is to score buckets and score efficiently, get down low. So I don't know if maybe he's lost too much weight and he's not beefy enough down low, but it is interesting not to see him on this list after, how many years has he been in the league now? 5?
5 is what I was thinking too.
6, something like
maybe
that.
6, yeah. So who were you thinking?
So I would not have said this preseason, but a guy based off of how his season has gone so far, maybe he creeps into this top 15 at some point in the season. That would be Chet. Chet has been absolutely insane. I mean, the Thunder are
Good team.
A great team. Yeah, they do seem like they're living up to the hype of probably being the best, at least regular season team in the West. And he's their second best player. He's their defensive anchor. And I think he's scoring very well, like an efficient 23, 24 points per game. So, yeah, I definitely would not have had him there preseason. I don't have him there preseason. And it wasn't someone I really considered preseason, but I think he could make this list for me potentially sometime this season. And he's averaging, 4 blocks a game or something?
Shows a lot of stats, but not his blocks. He is averaging anyone? It's crazy.
I'll pull him up.
2.9. Okay.
2.9. All right.
He must have cooled down the past game or two, because I think it also brought down some other stats. Now that I'm looking. No, I love Chet. I think Chet will be in this list here soon. When you see the, I mean, we'll get to some of these names, but some of the 30, really any of the 30 and up club. I mean, Chet's going to be here, if not next year, the next, maybe even this season if some cards fall right. And he's got another guy who's firmly planted in all the top fives on his team too. So we'll get there. But
yeah.
Any others that were sticking out? We can save some for the end too if we think of any. But I don't know any.
Let's do this actually, because I have noticed a person that's not on your list, and he's on my list, and he is not even like on the cusp of being off of my list. So even though he's further up on my list, we can hit him now, and that's Joel Embiid.
Oh, I left him off, huh?
He's number 9 on my list.
I will be nicer than that reporter that he shoved recently was about him in that article. I don't know if y'all saw that. If you didn't, I'll refresh for the listeners. You probably saw it, but the ins and outs of the article were Embiid saying he named his son after his brother who died in a car wreck a couple years ago. And he strives to be great because of that. In the next sentence, he says, well, in order to be great, you have to be available, and you've been anything but that. It was brutal. And I might be butchering that wording-wise, but it was mentioning his brother dying in one sentence, and then basically you suck in the next.
Yikes, yeah.
But I think the last time we talked NBA when the 4 or 5 of us were together, I was not in. In fact, I was out. That's probably the better way to say that. On the 76ers.
Yeah.
Embiid has been, already suspended for some games. He's outright said he's not going to play some games. I think I saw today Maxey was out. I don't know if 2 to 3 weeks, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it was
significant.
Yep. Carrying the load for the team.
Now they'll probably, even if they squeak in the play-in, they'll probably figure it out and be dangerous. But maybe trouble in paradise early. I don't know.
So would he have made your top 15 though?
I did have an asterisk on my list that said I'm going to review mine after 24 hours or so because I did it so quickly. He would. Yeah, he would make the list probably.
This can be a fun gimmick throughout the list. We'll start with your list.
Yeah, that's true. Are they better than Joel Embiid?
Yeah, each time we hit a player on your list, we'll see if Joel is.
Who would I rather have? That's
So starting with your list, number 15, you have Jaylen Brown. And you can speak on him first if you want, or you can speak on Joel being ahead of him maybe.
Yeah, shout out producer Clem, big Celtics fan. The Celtics look really good. Yeah. They did lose to the Warriors last night. Pretty interesting game. I got to watch some of it. I didn't really review the box score or anything on really game script, but I mean, in the season so far, they look really scary. Jaylen Brown, dog, defender, skilled offensively. Yeah, I don't know. I'd take him. I think I would take him over Embiid.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, this is kind of like if I'm building a 2K team, I'm probably taking Embiid. I'm really factoring in the availability piece here. So.
Yeah. Okay. So you're standing.
I'm taking Jaylen Brown over Joel Embiid.
And you're
MVP
saying
Joel Embiid, and did make the Olympic team Jaylen Brown. You're welcome, Celtics fans.
Yeah, and that means you're saying he's not a top 15 player for you.
No, he's not. And I'll stand on that, but I'll say he can be top 5 easily. And it's just kind of a stench around him not being able to get the job done.
Yeah.
The locker rooms always feel weird with the teams he's on. I'm rooting for him. Let me say that. But the track record is not impressive. So.
Yeah, I need Jaylen Brown to get back healthy. He's been out the last 3 games with a hip injury, and I just traded for him in our dynasty league.
Yeah, that's right.
So I need this man back and playing well. He's also on my list. He's further up on my list, but I mean, I think you hit it. He's a well-rounded player. He's both defensively and offensively a really, really solid player. He can guard 1 through 3, maybe smaller 4s. And then he's their second best offensive option behind Jason Tatum.
Getting better at dribbling with his left.
About time.
A little bit.
So yeah, great player. And I think worthy of a top 15 pick. So on my list, at number 15 is Victor Wembanyama.
He says his computer keeps randomly restarting. That was our only hope to pull up stats as we talk. Recording on my iPad, my kind of only computer type thing, and his laptop that keeps randomly rebooting. So, sorry, just filling up our listeners in on that.
We did take a picture of our list though, so we can keep chugging along there. And we do know that I ranked preseason Victor Wembanyama top 15. I would say I kind of regret putting him in my top 15.
Based off performance so far?
Based off of performance so far.
Agreed.
Yeah, I came into this list, I wanted to leave him off of my top 15 because of Miles' love for Victor, right? And I wanted to go against Miles. But then I put him on my list because I was so fearful that I was going to be so far off.
Mm-hmm.
And that he was going to be a top 10 player, even though I have said he will not be a top 10 player this year. So I was like, this is the middle ground. I'm going to throw him on the list. He's too good defensively, just defensively as an anchor. That alone makes him a top tier player in the NBA. But so far, I haven't really seen defensively or offensively any real progress since the end of last year.
I'm glad you mentioned. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good.
Since your computer restarted, he's down in every category through 8 games.
Yeah.
So maybe except blocks, he's up. He was 3.6 last year. He's at 3.8, but he's down from 21 points. He's at 18 per game. Down from 3.9 assists. He's at 2.8. Maybe some of that's the Chris Paul effect. He's down in rebounds from 10.6 to 9.8, and then. Yeah, shooting, let's see. He was at 32% from 3. Now he's at 21, so he's kind of gone cold shooting too. Lowered from the field. Yeah, so maybe it's a slump he comes out of. I mean, he hasn't looked these highlights that he can just make by just being how long he is. You haven't really seen many of those. So I think there's a course correction for him coming. And he's in my list too. He's a little higher up. But I agree, based off what we've seen right now, he doesn't belong in the top 15. I think value of like believing in his growth curve, that he can do that soon enough, and it's going to be still within this season. And how dominant he was at the Olympics, right? So I think that's kind of how he found his way onto my list as well. I think I had him just a couple spots up. So
yeah. So I don't know. This feels like a win and a loss at the same time because I think my heart wanted to keep him off the list and my mind said to put him on the list. But I do agree. I think he'll get out of this slump. I think he's going to be a great NBA player. I do think he will be a top 10, top 5 NBA player at some point. He's going to
slim chance at MVP, Miles. It's not happening this year.
For this year, I was like, I think he will be an MVP candidate. Yeah. But yes, yeah.
He could win the Defensive Player of the Year this year potentially.
He could.
I think that's in play,
but I got my boy Chet there. Actually, no, I think I did pick Wembanyama there, but
that's right.
As of right now, Chet's got it for me.
Why don't we do a little like snake draft thing?
Okay, yeah. You want me to hit mine next then?
Yeah.
Okay, so for number 14, I have Kevin Durant.
KD.
Still a bucket. Old. He's 36 now?
Yeah.
Honestly, he's really never looked better. He looks incredible this year. It looked like last year Devin Booker was really taking the step to be the outright best player on the Suns. And this year it looks like it's Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
Like, to me, he looks like he's the best player on the Suns. He looked great in the Olympics. D-Book also looked great in the Olympics. So I still just thought this was going to be D-Book's team. And I still do think it is Devin Booker. And spoiler alert, I have Devin Booker at 13.
My goodness.
So
just some stats for you, all you fans out there. KD, I knew he was scoring and playing efficiently. 42% from three this year on over 6 attempts a game. So that is not career high, but it's up there. Yeah. KD's averaging 27.8. He is at 3.5 assists, 6.8 rebounds. Nothing crazy. I think the things that jump out on the stat sheet for him are his efficiencies as a shooter.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, we're talking about KD here, but
it's kind of his bread and butter.
It's not falling off. In fact, he's dialing it in even more. So, for him, I mean, for me on my list, I'm looking at my list now. He was up higher on mine. I think I feel more like putting him on my list near where you put him on yours. Oh, man, this camera keeps zooming on me. There we go. It's really weird.
The audience is going to be like, what are they laughing at?
So, all right, moving on. Anything else on KD for you?
So just because I had said earlier that, like, this is the best he's looked offensively, but I have him as the 14th best player in the NBA. And I mean, at his peak, I would have had him top 3, top 2. And I think the difference is defensively. Like, he's not the same as he was, man, even 4 years ago or so, especially not in his prime.
He can still do it with length, but not the energy. Like,
he doesn't. Sometimes it would just feel like he would just teleport somewhere. Especially, I mean, with the Warriors, which the Warriors system was just built for it. But he just turned into like a free safety out there sometimes. Yeah. Just kind of a ball hawk. Had some chase downs, some LeBron-esque stuff going on there for a little while with his length and speed. But since the Achilles injury, he's not there defensively like he was.
The last thing I'll say on this one. I won't say I wasn't high on the Suns coming in, I think, but if y'all listen to our earlier pod talking about the NBA, I didn't see them being as good as they have been. So that's been a poor take that, or really just something I didn't see playing out. They nailed their draft pick. Looks like the Dunn kid is killing it, starting for them. Looks like a full NBA player. They're 7-1. Something like that.
Yeah, I think that's right. 7-1.
So yeah, I'd say they have some cooling off to do, but they're off to a really hot start. So, let's see. Next on my list, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
14 for Mike.
Number 14, I have Jalen Brunson.
Small but mighty.
Small but mighty. It's kind of like, I feel like he should be higher on the list if we let recency bias play into this a little more. We were closer to last Eastern Conference playoffs where we saw him really performing on the biggest stage. And so I don't think I should forget that or discount any of that because I think you really learn who players are in the playoffs. But I don't know. I'll say it. I haven't really seen much of him this year at all. I watched the first game that the Knicks played, maybe opening night. Some of that, but I don't really know how Brunson's doing.
Yeah,
objectively.
To be honest, I'm in the kind of the same boat with Brunson in terms of just not having seen a lot of him play yet. I have him in a similar spot on my list, and so I don't really have a whole lot of pushback. But he's another player that's, I mean, similar to KD in a very different way, but he's an offensive engine, and lacks defensively. And I think that's where a lot of these guys, kind of on the back ends of our list, you notice that where they're a little more one dimensional. I think as we get through our lists, you're going to see a lot more two-way players that can do it on both ends.
If y'all were to step onto the pickup court with me and Anthony, you would notice we take defense very seriously. So I do agree that you actually made me feel a lot better about putting him at 14, keeping him low on my top 15, because it's a game of offense and defense, and he doesn't bring much to the table on defense. So that's all I have to say about him.
Mike and I are a couple of defensive stoppers. Miles never wants to play against me because he can't. Well, Miles can't score, period, but definitely can't score on me. So, I guess you're number 13.
Yeah. This one might be time to grab this caffeine-free Diet Dr. Pepper and pour one out for Paulo Banchero. Really sad. I'm talking like he's done for the year. He's not done for the year. I haven't seen the latest outlook though. The torn pec, right? No, abdominal. Right? Let me see. I don't want oblique.
Oblique. That's it. I was like,
to be reevaluated in 4 to 6 weeks. So let me correct here. He's on my NBA fantasy team. So the loss felt bigger than it actually was. And because I think he was just coming off, a 50-point game?
82 fantasy points.
Yeah, 82 fantasy points in a week that I still lost with that performance. But it was looking like he was every bit of a top 15 player. He had arrived. Everyone was seeing that performance and just how he'd kind of been to start the season in general and saying, like, man, I see early LeBron in his play style. So he feels like, I don't think they've seen as much success, but I'm going to make a cross-sport comparison here. The way the general population is really high on the Detroit Lions. They're loved right now, high-scoring offense. Feels like, Paulo could really embody that same sense. It feels like he's got a pretty high approval rating. So we're all hurting for you. We want you to get back out there and earn your spot in the top 15. So anyways, thoughts on Paulo? Did he make your list?
So I got a question for you because he did not make my list.
Okay.
If you would have made these rankings in the actual preseason, would he have been on your list?
I don't. You're right. I might have snuck him in, but it was definitely before the 50-point, the 50 bomb.
That's fair.
So
yeah, he. I would now, even with him being injured, because I kind of went through this ranking in terms of a healthy player, and that's why Joel is still higher on my list even now. But yeah, he would definitely be in my top 15 right now, even just after a week and a half in the NBA. Like you said, it seemed like he was shining so bright. I mean, I'll just, me and Mike are a couple stats heads, so you're probably going to hear plenty of stats on our pods. But through those, how many games was it? I mean, it was only 4 games. He averaged 29 points, 8.8 rebounds, 5.6 assists, half a steal, almost a full block. Shot 50% from the field, almost 35% from 3. Needed to work on his free throws, 64.4%.
As does LeBron.
Right. But other than the free throw shooting, I mean, incredible and solid on defense too. I mean, the Magic, that's their bread and butter is defense, and he is no slouch on defense. So yeah, I can't speak highly enough of Paulo. That is a take that Miles had right. I think he's been raving about Paulo for.
Oh, he's loved the Magic for a long time. Yeah. Shout out Miles, good job on that. Is Franz shining in the absence of Paulo? I don't know. Hopefully he steps up, and this is good for his development too. We'll see. But
yeah.
Suggs is really turning out.
Yeah, Jalen Suggs has been on one.
I don't know if he'll ever make a top 15 list in his career, but cementing himself as maybe that fringe top 50, certainly possible for a good amount of time. So, all right, so
number 13 on my list.
Yep,
I got D-Book referenced him. He hasn't had a bad season. He's just, I guess, not. I don't know if I was maybe expecting him to take another leap.
Maybe feels like I know you're not as in on NFL, but the Chiefs are undefeated this year, and Patrick Mahomes is having a terrible season.
Yeah, you're loving the cross sports comparison.
I'm an analogy guy, but
so Paolo's the Lions and D-Book is the Chiefs.
Not to say, hey, other rookery fellas, y'all been leaving me off these NFL pods, and I have some takes to get off. so I had to bring him up in the NBA pod, but I don't mean to compare him in a categorically to Patrick Mahomes, but sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. Yeah, I think that's a good comparison. Like he's done nothing wrong. He's had a perfectly fine season. His team is 7-1. He's a top 2 player on that team. He is not a turnstile on defense, and he is as we all know, really good offensive player. So I'm not upset about him being 13th on my list, but I guess I just expected him to shine a little brighter through the first couple of weeks this season.
Yeah, this big thing I do when I get on Basketball Reference. I know you're on StatMuse. I don't know if this is right. Most people have played 5, 6, 7 games, maybe 8 if they have had 8 and they played every game. I'm like, what did they average last year in points, and are they higher or lower? So, like, very small sample size.
A lot of noise.
But Devin Booker is 2.5, 3 points lower. But has he really had to? And just look at his team's record. So you can't really throw any stones at him. The guy's a great player. He's also in my top 15 as well. I think I had him closer to that 10 number. So, not going to rehash it when we get to him, but I will let you know his actual rating when we get there. So, who'd you have after Devin Booker?
After D-Book, I had Jaylen Brown. So,
okay. Yeah, there we go.
We can move on, and who do you have for number 12? Victor?
Which we've talked about as
well. We've talked about, so we can just keep pushing on.
And so, I'll go, let's skip right on to the brow, AD.
Your number 11.
My number 11. Wow, is that? Yeah, we're not far off our rankings. Anthony Davis, if I re-ranked these today, well, let's just say, if I would have come out with these ratings after the first 3 Laker games, he might have been as high as 5.
Yeah,
he was looking really good. I think the Lakers have cooled off. There's a lot of sentiment around JJ being the guy to help figure out the Lakers thing, which was exciting as a LeBron fan, but I think they've cooled off a little bit. AD does look really good, though, still. Coming off an Olympic gold medal, as a lot of these guys on this list are.
Right,
but being dominant in the Olympics, defensively all over the place. I do think I was kind of putting down the JJ sentiment. I do think JJ Redick has been good for Anthony Davis. And a lot of the stuff he talks about is really trying to schematically focus on Anthony Davis in the offense, really utilize him, center the offense around him. Something they've been saying the Lakers as an organization have been trying to do for 3, 4, 5 years.
I mean, really since LeBron and AD paired up.
Since they paired up. And so maybe too little too late, I don't know. But I think it's needed for LeBron, who's about to turn 40 next month.
I got a JJ take in regards to that, or maybe not even a take, but a question for you.
Did you see him walk off last night?
No, I did not. Hit me with that first. What happened?
They said to our listeners and you, that was. Have you seen when they introduced him as coach how he was just throwing out F-bombs and
no,
not like angry, but trying to like a flair for the dramatic and I'm going to come in and be a difference maker and whatever. So I mean, he's shown flashes of that, but someone was asking him that after they lost last night to the Grizzlies. I think LeBron had 39, 8 and 7 or something like that,
right.
And nobody else really did anything. AD was out. So the question was like, how do you address, these lack of effort issues for, players other than LeBron. And he just kind of like snarled a little bit and said, "I just did," and then dropped the mic and walked off. So the comments on that were like, he's 8 games in and already cracking, JJ's out. I think it was just a
interesting.
What's your take?
Well, so I guess there's been 3 coaches that the Lakers have had since the 2 of them have been there? Was it Vogel and then Darvin Ham, or was there?
I think I might be wrong, but I think Vogel was.
I thought it was just the 3: Vogel, Darvin Ham, JJ. We might be missing someone.
Yeah.
But either way, at least 3,
yeah.
maybe 4 coaches, right? And like you said, they've pretty much been saying since day one, all the coaches, like, this is going to be a more 80-centric team. And it seems like, I don't know if it's because they're fearful of LeBron because of who he is and because of his track record with coaches. But do you think that JJ and Bron's pod has given JJ the license to maybe be a little more, I don't know if aggressive is the right word, but just be able to put his foot down with LeBron and actually make an 80s team for the first time?
I might disagree here, actually. Yes and no, but I think, I don't know if this whole time it's been LeBron saying, "No, it's my team. No, it's my team." I think he's done that out of necessity because of AD's inconsistencies on offense. Things that AD still kind of has, which I'm glad JJ is bringing some creative offensive concepts so that AD doesn't have to manufacture everything. It can be within the play design, but it can still be him as the hub. I think these other coaches came down. Maybe the play designs aren't great. It could have been LeBron. I'm just quick to defend him in any situation.
I was about to say.
Because I was going to say, it's come down, dribble the ball down, and he's going to figure it out. Now, maybe plays were called, and that was him doing it every time. I don't know. But in the media, LeBron would say, this is AD's team. I'm trying to give him the ball and stuff like that. But, LeBron can, we all know, be prone to lie in the public eye and even in commercials making jokes about it himself. So
I started watching Starting Five finally. I think I'm 3 or 4 episodes in. And in one of the episodes, LeBron, they're interviewing him. It's just his face. He's speaking. And he said something like, he said something along the lines of like, I forget what the context was, but pretty much, and everybody thinks I lie now. Like he addressed it, and he says, "But I don't. I always tell the truth," which was a lie because he doesn't. So just thought that was hilarious. But
AD, you had him on your list, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because he's your number 11, right? Yep.
He's my 11.
He's my 10.
So I just did Paolo and AD, right?
Yep.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
So we can move on to my 11, who is a guy we were just talking about, LeBron.
There we go.
Who I think is much higher on your list.
I did not put him at 1, so that took a lot. It took a lot from me.
Yeah, Mike had to wait until he was 40 before he made him not number 1. He's 11 on my list. And we can, I guess, kind of speak to the 80 of it all as well, because we were just talking about him and he's 10th on my list. I obviously think they're very close. They're both almost equally important to the team. LeBron is just, it can't be said enough. It's been said plenty. Like, he's got a computer for a brain in terms of just basketball knowledge. Just watching a little bit I have of him this year, he just manipulates everything and everyone on the floor. It's really insane to watch. But he's 40. He's an old man. And once again, speaking to going back to KD and Jalen Brunson, like defensively is where he gives it up, and AD does not. That's AD's strong suit. So I think that's where I put AD in front of LeBron. Is I would still give, I guess, the nod to LeBron offensively over AD, but I think the gap between them defensively is greater.
Yeah.
And AD's defense is impactful enough on its own to really move the needle there and push them there.
I'll listen to that.
But, I mean, we're talking about a 40-year-old man that I have still 11th in the NBA.
I do think, I don't know if the sports media world or just sports culture has landed on this historically well. Maybe they have, but I feel like over the last couple of years, as LeBron's gotten older, as you see guys in different leagues, another NFL cross reference, get older. I think we've centered on this narrative really well and it's a lot of times former players talking about it. When you get old, you can't really go all out every night. You might be able to go for 30 one night a week, 2 nights a week, but you can't do 3.
Right.
And maybe that's always been a thing, but I feel like I've been hearing that a lot more recently, maybe because one of the stars of the league is, we've been seeing that play out for the last couple of years. So, but I feel like that's the nail on the head. And that's for someone that loves LeBron so much. I'm going to say, look at that one game last night. And they still lost because they really had no help. And probably because he was taking a lot of plays off on defense. He has 39, 6, and 7.
Yeah. Incredible last night.
And you do that every game, even if you're playing no defense, you might make another MVP run. But he just doesn't have it in the tank. And so, I don't know. That's tough to swallow, but
he's going to retire one day, Mike.
Yeah, he will.
One day soon. All right, well, we're moving on to what your number.
That was a heavy sigh. Let's see.
We might get to jump past a few years
because you did Devin Booker, right?
Yeah, and KD.
So Devin Booker was my 10. Mm-hmm. We talked about him, followed by Kevin Durant at 9. Let's see. You had Booker and KD both in the top 15, but neither in the top 10.
Right, and I had them one after the other as well, but I had D-Book ahead of KD. You had it flipped, which has looked more correct, I'd say, this year. I think you got
so I had them at the 9 and the 10. Regardless, two top 15 players is great, and they've been proving that with a good supporting cast.
Right.
That moves me all the way up to number 8, Steph Curry, the chef.
Yeah, we haven't talked about him yet.
I have not mentioned him. Their team is come as a surprise to me.
Yeah. Also 7-1.
7-1 with a early hallmark season. Put a stamp on the first month victory against the Celtics. Yeah. Who've been coming out hot, defending champions. And you had the narratives of 2-3 years ago when they met in the finals.
2022.
So I made a joke, and I probably won't say it on here, but some of the guys they brought in, Trace Jackson Davis last year, I won't say it. Kyle Anderson, who is just sneaky good.
I miss him on the Wolves.
Yeah, sneaky good player. I think we're seeing just helps around the edges, good glue guy. They needed that, playing good minutes. Podziemski looks good. Interestingly enough, I have Kuminga on my fantasy team. Mm-hmm. Kind of a not great year for him right now, which maybe brings up an interesting point long term. I know they always have these are we committing to Kuminga? Are we extending him with the max? And I think he was talking about wanting a max, but if he keeps up what he's been doing so far this year, I think it's crazy that he would potentially get a max. Sometimes bringing him off the bench. So I don't know. We're talking about Steph Curry here, who's looked good. And in a similar way to, I guess, Devin Booker. I don't really exactly know his stats right now.
They're actually, if you do just the counting stats right now, they're much lower than past years.
Yep.
And
I was going to refer to Devin Booker here and say it's kind of a similar.
Right. Well, Steve Kerr has been on record talking, pretty much praising the fact that he can roll out 12 guys. So I think, and this has been, isn't he averaging
minutes down too, under 30 for the first time ever? No.
His first couple years,
actually, his entire career he's been over 30 minutes played per game, except the year he broke his hand and only played 5 games. He was at 27.8, which he's at 27.6. So maybe Steve Kerr does this to start every year because he wants to see who he has in his rotation. crazy this year. He's been playing all these guys, and they've been winning.
Yeah.
So.
Well, he has been raving about that 12-man roster of his, and I feel like a big conversation just amongst the talking heads of the NBA recently has just been how much more important depth is than ever. It used to be grab 2 or 3 superstars and roll, but I think, and this is once again getting away from Steph Curry kind of, but I think just with how talented the league is, depth matters more because a lot of those backup, those next 5, those hockey rotations, it's just throw 5 more guys in. If you have a solid lineup that can keep it rolling, it's so much more important with a loaded league. But yeah, speaking to Steph, that is interesting. Like, you have him, what number again? 8? 8.
And,
how does that make you feel then, I guess, with his team's doing incredible, best they've done in 2 seasons, but his stats are all down?
Makes me, I kind of feel like Vegas sportsbooks having Patrick Mahomes as 3rd in MVP odds.
That is 4 NFL references.
But no, I was a little influenced of being a LeBron fan. There is this deeply rooted respect for Steph Curry, the years of them battling in the finals, and then this great moment. Hats off for Steph. I think we talked about it in our podcast. If we didn't, it deserves a quick shout out right here. His Olympic moments this year.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
And more the peak of them. He didn't really come on strong to those last couple games, but on the greatest stage, Captain America time, or was that what they call LeBron?
I think that's what they call LeBron.
Yeah, sorry.
But, yeah, it's okay.
Captain America was there, and by that I do mean LeBron. But yeah, so Steph, I feel all right with him there.
Yeah. I have him even higher on my list.
Yeah.
Another question for you then. Are you still comfortable with having, because we haven't gotten to LeBron on your list, do you still think LeBron's a better player than Stephen Curry?
I'll take him. So, and here's the deal. I probably would have had LeBron lower than I do on my list, and we'll get to him pretty soon. But speaking of the Olympics, LeBron's Olympic run, which they sort of force-fed him the ball, but
sort of.
It was a little bit of his last dance Olympically. Yeah, I don't know. I just was inspired by that, so he kind of climbed up the rankings a couple spots.
Yeah, the Olympics do make you feel some type
of way. But I'm a little delusional with LeBron, and will always be. So, let's see. Oh, also, shout out Steph. Shout out Buddy Hield as another addition to the Warriors, filling in that Clay role.
Yeah, the new Clay.
Very replaceable. I wonder how Clay feels. Not super replaceable, but has been shooting the lights out. They look really good, so... Shout out, Steph. I'm keeping you on my list at number 8.
All right, so over to number 8 for me is Jalen Brunson, who we've already covered. So he's a
big disparity there.
Yeah, he's a decent bit higher on my list than yours. You had him at 14, and I had him at number 8. So
you mentioned offense, defense. He doesn't bring much to the table defensively.
Yeah.
Talking about that out loud, do you still feel good about where he's at?
I would probably slide him down my list.
And this is a team, too, the Knicks. They feel like they're in a weird slump. Like they got Mikal Bridges and they got Cat. So I think there's some figuring out they need to do. And his numbers are like a little slightly down, but also they added guys, so maybe they stay down.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Stat I did hear recently, it was a couple days ago, so I don't know if it still stands, but the Jalen Brunson Cat pick and roll duo is the highest scoring points per possession duo in the NBA.
Okay.
So there is that going for him.
Interesting.
So I don't think it's necessarily translated, obviously, to the record.
Not LeBron and AD?
Not anymore. Not anymore. But yeah, it doesn't. I guess it hasn't translated to a good record. Their record's what, 4-3? I want to say.
Yeah.
Should know this, but yeah. Either way, but when we talk about those two stars too, we're talking about offense right there, and neither one of them play great defense. Yeah. So kind of fits the bill.
3 and 4. Yep.
3 and 4. Okay, yeah. I said 4 and 3. Yeah. But we can move on to the next guy I have, and I want to get to him because it's Anthony Edwards.
Mm.
I have him at number 7. Man, I love Anthony Edwards. He's just a freak athlete. Kind of a slow, well, another weird one. His stats look fine. I mean, he's up near 30 points per game. I think he's got better shooting percentages this year than last year.
Feels just eye test wise that he's been shooting a lot of threes.
He's been shooting
a
lot more threes, but I think his field goal percent or his 3-point percentage is up.
Yep, 45% right
45%
at 11.4 per game.
Right. So that's a win. What hasn't translated is just our record is not great. I say our record like I'm on the team. I'm just a Timberwolves fan, but so I think I still like him in this spot, in this somewhere to, I don't know, 5 to 8 range of players. I have him at 7. I think there's just still a lot of fit stuff happening with the T-Wolves with losing Cat and having Randall on the team now. But in terms of just his specific play, he looks incredible still. He's still a freak athlete. He's shooting better than ever, and he's always had a dog mentality and always will, I think. Yeah. I
won't make another NFL reference here, but to bring back up
MLB?
Not even a reference. I'll reference another guy on this list, on my list, Paolo.
Okay.
Talked about a high approval rating. I think I might take that back. I don't know if I said he had the highest. I don't know if I did say that. I think I just said it was high. One of the highest, if not the highest, maybe approval ratings right now is Anthony Edwards.
Yeah.
I'm sure it feels great as a Timberwolves fan. We've talked about that on other pods, but he's, let's see, 6 on my list. So I think I had him even higher than you.
Yeah. And that's a little bit of my just Minnesota professional sports fandom has burned me so many times that I kind of keep my
keep your hopes down.
Yeah, got to.
But yeah, shout out. That's interesting to see. I didn't know. I knew he was taking more threes. That is
over 11 a game.
That's almost double what he. I mean, he was at 6.7 last year, which is a decent bit. Yeah. But I remember referencing earlier, KD's at like 6 a game. So he's
almost double KD in a year. That's crazy.
So interesting to see if that carries out the rest of this season, because his points per game's up too. Probably a lot to do with that. So I don't know. I'm rooting for him. Julius Randle seems to be figuring it out. So next on the list, are you going or am I going?
We skipped over one of mine because it had already been talked about, Brunson. So it's you, and your number 7 is
Jason Tatum.
This is for Clem Binyama.
Yes. So to recap, also interesting. Well, we'll do this at the end. No, we won't.
We'll do it right now.
I had 2 Celtics on my list. I had 2 Suns.
2 Lakers.
I had 2 Lakers. I think that's it, right? Teammates was. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. Jason Tatum. I don't have much to say here. I've also watched an episode or 2. I think I'm on actually 2 or 3 of Starting 5. I'm rooting for the guy. I don't want our podcast or anything on the Rookery to slander professional athletes. We need to be uplifting, but we can objectively say we think their interviews need to be stronger. We think they should stop making such corny jokes. These are things that
you're talking about LeBron too.
These are things that I feel towards Jason Tatum. He's a great basketball player. I have him at number 7 in the league for me. Pair that with a lot of other teammates in the top 40, one other in the top 15, maybe 2 more in the top 30.
Yeah, loaded.
Loaded
roster.
Yeah, he's got a cakewalk to the finals again. But no, I mean, what's he doing? What are we talking stats wise?
He's up like near 30 points per game.
Ooh, yeah.
8-9 rebounds a game. He's been shooting the heck out of the ball. Like he's on an absolute tear.
Okay, if he stays above 30 a game, we could see. I mean, he's been on MVP ballots. I think the past 3 or 4 years. Well, I got it here. He was 6th in voting in 2021, 4th in 2022, 6th last year. I think if he stays above 30, he should be a top. 3, 4.
As of right now, he's he's a top 2 or 3 candidate.
Okay.
I mean,
There we go.
we're talking 2 or 3 weeks into the season.
Yeah, another guy we have on the list. There's other guys above him we have that are maybe
right there with him on the
slow
year.
starts too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, what do you think? I mean, anything to add on Tatum?
Yeah, I mean,
not much to say.
I think the less we talk on Tatum, the better. But
so let's just skip over that.
No, I mean, it's kind of sadly. So I have him 6th on my list, just in front of Anthony Edwards. And it's funny because if we just look a little forward, you have Anthony Edwards 6. So we just had him flip flopped.
We'll play a game at the end of my list, and it's called Go From Number 1 and Go Down. And would you rather have this person than Joel Embiid? We do need to revisit that.
Okay. Well, I thought we killed that though because you had Jaylen Brown over Joel Embiid, and that would make everybody else on the list higher than Joel.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. I might take.
You might take Embiid over Tatum.
I might take Brunson off and put Embiid. That's a little bit of an overreaction to what they've been this season.
Okay.
All right, back to Tatum, or do we want to skip him?
I think we've covered him enough.
Okay,
that was enough Tatum for the day.
Tatum. I'll say before I end too. Well, I also had after Tatum at 7. I had Anthony Edwards at 6, who we talked about, and LeBron. We talked about him, right?
Yeah. Wax poetic if you want, man. This might be his last season. You never know.
I had LeBron at number 5, so like I said, he wasn't at my number 1. He's really like number 1 on the night of the week that he's on. But that's one with an asterisk. And so, yeah, he's probably really not at 5 if we're being realistic. But, I mean, what is this question? Is it who do you want on your team for the regular season? Who do you want? Who do you think gives you the best odds at winning the championship? Who do you take to win one game? Depends on how you look at these lists. And so I just tried to look at it in the best way that I could put LeBron the highest. And so he's at number 5 for me. We're rooting for you, Bron. Maybe the Lakers will make a trade, send some of those firsts out, and bring in some freaking help for once. for you and All-Star Anthony Davis.
Yeah, I was about to say, does he not have Anthony Davis on his team?
But yeah, LeBron at 5 for me. So
okay. All right, and then at 5 for me is Stephen Curry, who we've talked about. So, yeah, we can push on, and so we have me and you are flipped on 3 and 4.
Okay.
So we have the same 3 and 4, but different order. You, which I guess if I had to pick one, was a little more uncommon to pick. You have SGA above Luka.
Mm-hmm.
I have Luka above SGA, and I think the majority would probably say that. So, you want to chop up why you think so?
Defend my take?
Yeah. And I mean, we're talking probably very, very small, but you do have SGA above Luka.
It's marginal.
Yeah.
Whoa, that was weird. So this is wrapping up great. We could put a bow on this podcast here as we wrap up here in the next couple minutes. But we've been alluding to things like defense matters, right? And we keep looking, all right, what are this year's numbers? Small sample size, yes, to last year's numbers. And how's the team doing? What's the record look like? Where are they at that? Where are they at in the standings? So the Mavs, 5-3, 5th in the West. Can't really,
It's fun.
Yeah, it's fine. They're there. Couple games, I guess, just two games out from first. So can't complain there. But you go and look at Luka. He was at 33.9 points per game last year. He's down to 28.6. I'm sure that'll come up a little bit. He's down in assists. He's down in rebounds. I mean, not that blocks matter because he had less than half a block, but you look, he's lower in effective field goal percentage, lower in 2-point percentage, lower in 3-point percentage, lower in overall field goal percentage. Let me check free throws. Yep, slightly lower in free throw.
Yep.
And down in minutes a little bit too. I'll be honest also, I've not watched any Luka Doncic this year, but I'm taking SGA over him. The team's better. So I know this is not a team ranking, but we're talking all NBA here. I do like the Thunder better. I think that matters. a little bit because I think they're better in part because of SGA. They do have a lot better, maybe, supporting cast collectively. But I'm just taking SGA because of his defensive stopper skills. And he's kind of swaggy. And Luka. I mean, I say this as a LeBron fan. I hate how Luka just whines at the refs. It's okay when LeBron does it. I understand because it's a competitive advantage thing, but it's just annoying to watch Luka whine at the refs. So
it sounds like you might be a little intimidated about Luka coming for LeBron's.
Oh yeah, let me say
stats.
this. I sent this in our group message a while back, but yeah, through their first, what was it, 4 seasons? No,
I think it was like 6.
Deeper than, yeah.
I think it was 6 seasons.
Luka has more points, rebounds, and assists than LeBron.
And he's got like higher shooting percentages.
Came in the league, both. Luka was 6 months younger, actually, give or take, when he came in the league than LeBron was, which surprised me. I didn't.
Yeah, it's just coming over from.
So
Europe.
I mean, if he makes it to 40, he breaks LeBron's record. So we don't root for injuries here.
Oh my gosh. Where's the butt?
No, yeah. Anyways, go on. What are you thinking?
Yeah, so if I was playing devil's advocate for myself, the 2 things I would put in favor of SGA would be, you already covered one, was defense. He just straight up is a better defender than Luka. It's not really that close. Luka is a big body that can kind of bang sometimes down low, but
Pause.
As I said, bang down low, I was regretting my decision. But yeah, so SGA, better defender than Luka, and I would say the second thing he has going for him is I do think he's an easier superstar to fit with, and I think that goes to your point of the Thunder having the better record.
Yeah.
He is letting people like Chet, like J-Dub, even Dort at points, just letting other players on his team cook more and kind of do their own thing, facilitate. He's fine standing in the corner for a possession. Everything has to run through Luka. It's very heliocentric.
Yeah.
But where I have Luka ahead of SGA is I think he is potentially going to go down as a top 5, maybe top 3 offensive player all time.
Yeah.
Like, he is going to be up there with the likes of, if all things stay the same and he just does this for the next 10 to 15 years, he's going to be offensively in the same realm. He'll end his career with the LeBrons, the Magic Johnsons, the Jokic's, the Steph did it a different way, but just those stupid high output offensive players. And SGA is just not going to be able to sniff that. He's a maybe more well-rounded if you just talk about defense as well. But yeah, where Luka is offensively and his ceiling offensively is just through the roof. It's S tier. That's
fair to say. With where SGA is right now, one could argue maybe he has another level to go. Like, that missing piece for him is the shooting.
Yeah.
I mean, and he's a great mid-range shooter, but no one would really say he's knocked down from 3. In fact, his stats don't really say that.
Yeah.
If he adds that,
has
some sustained level of success, sure. But yeah, I think,
but
that's a good point. And statistics, like, I looked at SGA's too. They're down as well. So it's like, yeah, okay, his team's doing better, but who do I think is going to end up averaging more points per game for the year? Probably Luka.
Something interesting to do with, it seems like so many of the stats, even on these higher end players that we're talking about that are doing really well, are down. I wonder if everybody's minutes are just down. If what I was saying earlier about just more depth and coaches caring about that more, it seems like if they're just playing more rotation players and the stars are just playing less minutes.
Close game in Chi-Town. Ant-Man is on fire as Wolves go on a 12-0 run to take lead versus Bulls.
I love it, man. Box
score for Ant right now. He's taking 8 threes. So he needs to get 3 more up to get that average. Sorry. Some live update for you guys. All right.
Anything else on those 2, or we can kind of hit the last 2 together. We have those ranked the same, 2 and 1.
Do we think...
which both of those teams are struggling.
Yeah, well, I'll say it. And then maybe we'll just talk about it. We both have Giannis at 2, and then we have Jokic at 1. A minute on the teams, or how the players are doing? Are the teams because how the players are doing? I don't know. Are they still at 1-2? Do we think?
Oof.
Is that might be an overreaction for us to say they're not firmly there? But
I think, knee-jerk reaction, yes. I think they're still the top 2 players in the NBA. This is going to be the third time I've referenced at this pod. I think depth matters so much, and even more now than ever, or now more than we've ever seen in the NBA, at least in our years watching it. And both those teams have just been decimated by people. I mean, look at Denver, Bruce Brown, gone. KCP, gone. Like, just so many of these role players that have just been so impactful for them the last few years have left in the last couple of years. And similarly to the Bucks, I mean, Drew Holiday, them trading him, I don't think was smart whatsoever.
No, yeah. Bill Simmons called that maybe the end of their window.
Yeah.
You don't really know it's the end of the window until a year or two later when you realize, okay, we've been trending down since then, but could very well be.
Did you see that? Those are thumbs up, Bubba. But
sorry, first time using this app for us here.
But so I mean, I definitely think both teams are in trouble. I'm not saying they're not in trouble. I think both teams are in trouble. It's so hard. I'm going to have to see a lot more than 2.5 weeks before I can dethrone either of them as a top 2 player. Because, I mean, the next 2 we have are SGA and Luka, and I wouldn't put either of them. Or I mean, the next ones after that are what? You got Steph, LeBron, Anthony Edwards, and Jason Tatum in different orders. We're kind of all those next guys, and I would not put any of those 6 players listed above either of them 2. But almost all those players have better teams, have better supporting casts.
We'll bring it back into, or not bring it in, but to comment on that, their teams are not doing great, at least trending-wise. Denver's 5-3. They're not terrible. You've got the 3-7-1 teams atop the West, and then Denver and
Mavs.
3 others are tied at 5-3.
Yeah.
Now, vibes are not great. Like, we think 5-3, like they're at 7 because of tiebreakers and stuff. Maybe they end up at 7, or maybe they end up in the play-in.
Yeah.
But looking at stats for both Jokic and Giannis, great seasons for both. Jokic all-time high points per game because he has to.
He's averaging nearly a 30-point triple-double.
Yep. And his, let's see, Giannis 31-point triple-double at, let's see. Add 31, 12.3. Oh, no. I was looking at defensive and total rebounds. Giannis not at a triple-double. His assists are 6.3.
Yeah.
But 12.3 rebounds. Yeah, Jokic, I think right now is a triple-double, but where are his points?
He's, around 30-ish? Point or two below?
Yeah, 28.8, but then 11 and 13.5.
Assists?
13.5 rebounds, 11 assists. But both of those are leading the league. So, say that to say, look up their stats. It's interesting. The top 2 guys on our list, we run down this list of top 15, and time after time, his stats are down. His team's doing good. It's interesting to see these guys having all-time seasons right now, individually. But bringing it back to LeBron, it makes you wonder, like, how much is one superstar able to kind of keep a team afloat and make them competitive with a roster that really isn't top notch. So shout out to LeBron being able to do that for some years in Cleveland, but with some terribly put together rosters. I feel like, I'm a LeBron fan and wanted to bring him into that, but that's how I feel with Jokic and with Giannis right now. They're kind of consensus top 3 at least for pretty much anyone.
Most people, yeah.
They're in that kind of tier in the league, and their rosters are not great. And it's interesting that we're saying this with Denver's roster, who we were praising a couple years ago winning the championship. But I do think even during that, people were saying, like, their top 8 is crazy, and then they lose like 2 of those 8 or 3. And then some are off to a slow start or maybe just kind of losing their touch. So I don't know. I think Denver has the most potential to turn it around because they do have a good 6-ish players, 5 or 6. Yeah. I feel like you do need more than that.
Yeah, I mean, who's the Bucks closing lineup? You know, you got a banged up, old, not that good Middleton anymore. You got Dame,
if he's healthy, right?
You got Dame that is good once a week. He's kind of, we were talking about that, where you get older and it's like you got that one game every so often.
He hasn't never really played defense. Like there's nothing over him.
And then of course Giannis,
Bobby Portis maybe probably at this point,
and then Brooke. So those are your five, but that's a really old team.
And they have Connaughton and Gary Trent.
Yep, those would be your first two off the bench probably.
Yeah, I might be forgetting someone. I don't think I mean they're Marjan Beauchamp if he's still there. I don't know. Yeah. It's bleak, but hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully their team's turning around. But
yeah. Anything else to say on these top 15? You got any?
I don't know. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed hearing us ramble, spit off some NBA takes. I think I'm excited to see these small samples grow to be more medium samples and larger samples. To say one more kind of stat term. But yeah, I'm excited. Holidays are approaching, about to be Thanksgiving at the end of this month. At the end of the next month, we get Christmas, which is NBA Christmas Day. And, I feel like that's when a lot of people say the NBA season actually starts. So if you haven't really caught any games, don't feel bad. We've only caught a few.
And we're doing that for y'all.
We're doing that for y'all. We're really putting in the work after hours. So thank you. Y'all can thank us. Y'all can thank our wives. Shout out to them. But yeah, we'll have more coming to y'all soon. Shoot us with questions. If you have any questions, email us at rookerball@gmail.com. Hopefully if you're listening to this, you probably have our numbers. But once this explodes and blows up, just email us, people that we don't really know personally. So had fun, Anthony.
This is
ready
good.
to do this again another time soon.
Yeah, hopefully it's not once every 3 weeks. Hopefully we can get on a more regular schedule. So now that we have this figured out, it should be more often.
All right, we're going to go try to catch the end of this Timberwolves game.
That's right.
Peace out, guys.